Alright, Shalom, Shalom Israel, coming back with another video, giving all honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh, which the world calls God, and Yahweh Shai, which the world calls Jesus Christ. Shalom, Shalom. And we're going to be touching on Leviathan, the sea serpent, right? That literal sea serpent that is talked about in the Bible, right? So, we're going to just hop right into it. So I'm going to start off with 2nd Esdras 6 and 47. And it says, upon the 5th day, thou saidst unto the 7th part, where the waters were gathered, that it should bring forth living creatures, fowls, and fishes. So it came to pass. Verse 48, for the dumb water and without life brought forth the living things at the commandment of Yahweh, that all people might praise thy wondrous works. Then didst thou ordain 2 living creatures, the one thou callest Enoch, and the other Leviathan. So Enoch is a separate creature from Leviathan. Verse 50, and didst separate the one from the other for the 7th part, namely where the water was gathered together, might not hold them both. So these creatures are so big that and huge that the waters, they couldn't have them in that same part in the water. All right. Verse 51, unto Enoch thou gavest one part, which was dried up the 3rd day. So Enoch is on land. He's a land creature, a land beast. Which was dried up the 3rd day, that he should dwell in the same part wherein are 1,000 hills. So where Enoch is, he's in a place where there's 1,000 hills. There's just an everlasting amount of hills in the area that Enoch is dwelling in. Right? Now verse 52. But unto Leviathan thou gavest the 7th part, namely the moist, which is the sea, and hast kept him to be devoured, of whom thou wilt and win. So Leviathan is in the water, just whoever the Most High wants Leviathan to devour up and eat up, he gonna do the will of the Most High, right? So Leviathan isn't a soft beast. When you come across him in the ocean, he pokes his head out the water and he waving at you. No, he gonna poke. If he poke his head out the water and he see you, you're finished. Especially if you don't got the spirit of the Most High in you, because ultimately everything is owned by the Most High. So if you're doing the works and keeping the commandments, right, things like that is not gonna touch you. But we're brothers that's in the faith don't explore in the waters and see all types of manner of beasts, because we're not worried about that. We try and get the kingdom. But Esau will try to go and explore, and I found this, I found that. Esau is a explorer, right, and a hunter, right? So Esau likes to venture out, right? And if anyone was to ever see Leviathan, it would be Esau. And Esau, Esau would get devoured up, right? So let's go to the next precept. Let's go to the book of Job 41 and verse 1. Now this is talking about Leviathan. It's going to say it. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with an hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? So he's saying Leviathan is this big that he's saying rhetorically, he says, canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook? So can you put a hook in the water, a fishing hook in the water, and hook Leviathan in and reel him in with the fishing line? No, there's no way you're going to be able to do that, right? He's saying that he's that big, that you can't do it. Or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put an hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? So you can't even throw a spear at Leviathan and talking about something's going to go through his mouth, and then you're going to reel him in. That's not going to do nothing to him. That's nothing. That's little to nothing to him. Right? Verse 3, will he make many supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? So like I was saying, like when you see Leviathan, is he going to be calm and chilling and what's up, how you doing? Right? He's not a soft beast. He's a gruesome beast. We just read that Leviathan is in the waters waiting to devour whomsoever the Most High has him to devour. Verse 4, will he make a covenant with thee? Wilt thou take him for a servant forever? And remember, these are all rhetorical questions, right? Or sarcastic questions, right? Can you make an agreement with him? Can you write on a piece of paper, sincerely Leviathan, me and you are going to be cool now. I'm going to tame you. I'm going to teach you how to do tricks. I'm going to teach you how to jump through circles, fire circle, like they do in the damn circus. No, You can't do that with a Leviathan. You cannot tame Leviathan. He is not a beast for you to be trying to capture and be amazed at, right? In a way, in a sense that you're trying to catch him, right? You call yourself marveling at him, and then you say in your mind, I want to catch Leviathan. You're not going to catch him. He's not like no damn stray dog or no rabbit you see running around in the forest. He is not nothing to be reckoned with, right? Verse 5. Wilt thou play with him as with a bird? Or wilt thou bind him for thy maidens? So he's saying, can you play with Leviathan? No. Verse 6. Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? So you know how fishers will go out and they'll capture, say, a shark. Then they'll cut the shark up in pieces and then they'll bring it to the market and sell the pieces of the shark. You're not about to catch Leviathan, cut him up, and sell him to other people. That's not what's going to happen. All right. Verse 7. Canst thou fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? So like I was saying with the spears, can you throw a spear at Leviathan that's going to do something to him? Leviathan is like a beastly Superman. You throw a spear at him, it's going to hit him and just drop. You're going to just throw it and it's going to just, drop off him like that. And he's going to just be looking at you like, he probably not even going to look at you. As soon as you even try to let go of that spear, he going to devour you up. Right? Slakia. Verse 8. Lay thy hand upon him. Remember the battle, do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down, even at the sight of him? So you can't fight against Leviathan. And some people, if they've seen Leviathan, they'll look at him and drop dead. They'll lose the ghost, man. Their eyes turn white and they're dead. They're gone. You're going to look at the brother like, what happened? Well, he just seen Leviathan. Right? Verse 10. None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? So the Lord is saying there's nobody bold enough to stand up against Leviathan, his creature that he made. So he said, who then is able to stand before me? So if I made this gruesome beast, who the hell are you to think you can stand up to me? What can you possibly do to me if I made this great and terrible beast? Right? Verse 11. Who hath prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. So, he's just saying, you can't question me. Right? You can't do nothing with me. Verse 12. I will not conceal his parts, nor his power, nor his comely proportion. Who can Who can discover the face of his garment? Or who can come to him with his double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. So there's no man that can come up to Leviathan, grab Leviathan up, throwing spears at him, then the spear going to him, it's piercing him, he weeping and blood coming out his body. Then you throw fishing nets on top of him, electrical fishing nets on top of him, he getting shocked. Then he fall down in the water. Then y'all all go out there in the water, y'all round him up, put him in a bigger fishing net, bring him on the land, and then you talking about you about to open his mouth. Let's see what's in his mouth. How Esau get down. When Esau killed prey or animals, they like to open the jaws and take pictures with him and say, look, basically trying to say they conquered him or, whatever goes through Esau's prideful mind. But you're not going to do that with Leviathan. You can't grab Leviathan's mouth open and talk about look, this is what the inside of his mouth look like. Right? It says his teeth are terrible round about. You ever put your hand near his mouth, your hand is gone. You might as well cut it off yourself. Right? You might as well have no hands. Right? Verse 15. His scales are his pride, shut up together as with a closed seal. So when it says his scales are his pride, it's meaning that his scales is his power. So, when we just read, it said, who can basically sarcastically saying who can throw a spear at him and pierce him, right? His scales are so tough and they're like iron, man, probably tougher than iron. You throw a damn spear at him, it's not going to do nothing. Like I said, it's going to just hit him and bounce off him, and he just going to be looking like nothing touched him. He probably won't even look at himself because he's not going to feel that, right? His scales are his pride, his power. 16. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. So his scales are they're powerful. One, they're strong, Slakia, and thick and hard, and they're like very close together. There's not openings in his scales, so that they got the scales, and then there's openings in the scales, and then you see the opening. Boom. Let me aim the spear into that opening. There's no opening. It's just straight scales. It's like he has a armored body, right? Slakia 17. They are joined one to another. They stick together. They cannot be sundered. By his neesings a light doth shine, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. So he can literally blow fire out of his mouth. That's where Esau gets their dragons and their How to Train Their Dragon movies, and whatever. They got sci-fi movies out there talking about dragons. Well, Leviathan 1 is not a flying creature. He's a sea creature, right? He's a sea creature, and he has scales, terrible teeth, like the Most High said, huge, and fire comes out of his mouth, literal fire, right? So this is what a real dragon is. This is a real dragon. Slakia, bear with me. I'm gonna read 19 again. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils goeth smoke, as out of a seething pot of cauldron. His breath kindleth coals, and a flame goeth out of his mouth. In his neck remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. Right? Sluggy. Oh, it's Khan. Right? So let me read 20 again. So it says, out of his nostrils goeth smoke, as out of a seething pot of cauldron. His breath kindleth coals, and a flame goeth out of his mouth. In his neck remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. So say a ship comes up, wherever Leviathan is at in the oceans. A ship comes up, Leviathan hears it, and he goes up, and then he with his little nail or something, he break the front part of the ship, and the people are sinking, and they weeping and crying, right? More than likely they're Edomites, because Esau like to go out there and explore. So the Edomites is going in the water, sinking down, and they crying and weeping and asking for mercy. Leviathan takes joy in that. He takes pride in that. He likes to see you sorrowful. When he sees his victim sorrowful, he gets happy. He might start clapping and laughing, man. Right? Verse Slakia. I'm going to read 23. The flakes of his flesh are joined together. They are firm in themselves. They cannot be moved. His heart is as firm as a stone, yea, as hard as a piece of the nether millstone. When he raiseth up himself, the mighty are afraid. So even the mightiest man, when Leviathan stands up in that water, even mighty men get afraid. Right? They're not so mighty no more. By reason of breakings they purify themselves. The sword of him that layeth at him cannot hold, the spear, the dart, nor the harbergion. He esteemeth iron as straw, and brass as rotten wood. So he's that powerful that even, iron is like a straw to him. It's weak and flimsy. And brass is as rotten wood. Old rotten wood. You pick up an old piece of rotten wood, you could literally snap it with your fingers. Right? The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned with him into stubble. Right? So arrows don't do nothing against him. And you can't flick no stones at him. That ain't nothing. 29. Darts are counted as stubble. He laugheth at the shaking of a spear. Right? Sharp stones are, and you might be on the ship. It's like, hold on, let me read it again. Darts are counted as stubble. He laugheth at the shaking of a spear. So you might have a spear in your hand, and you see Leviathan, and now you shaking. He looking at you and laughing. He about to devour you, man. He knows your prey, and you easy to get, right? Mighty men are easy to devour, are easy of him to be devoured. Or Saki, he can easily devour a mighty man. So if you shaking your spear now, he gonna laugh at you like you're a joke, man. He gonna say, why are you even here? Right? Verse 30. Sharp stones are under him. He spreadeth sharp pointed things upon the mire. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. So wherever he is, it's hot around him. He maketh a path to shine after him. One would think the deep to be hoary. Upon earth there is not like his, who is made without fear. So there's no, a lion has fear. A tiger got fear. Damn gorilla has fear. It's fearful of something. But Leviathan is fearful of nothing besides the Most High. Verse 34. He beholdeth all high things. He is king over all the children of pride. Right? So there you have it, man. And he's king over any Edomite saying he got pride. You know how Esau is. I gotta conquer the world. I gotta conquer the seas. I reign over the seas. People like Alexander the Great, he thought he ruled over everything, man. If Alexander the Great was to see Leviathan would be king over that prideful heart. Now, let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 11 and 17. So this is the book of Wisdom of Solomon 11 and 17, and it says, For the Almighty hand that made the world of matter without form wanted not means to send among them a multitude of bears or fierce lions. So the people he's talking about, he didn't want to send, he doesn't want to use these animals and these beasts to devour, men, right? Or unknown wild beast, full of rage, newly created, breathing out either a fiery vapor or filthy scents of scattered smoke, just like Leviathan, or shooting horrible sparkles out of their eyes. So if the Lord wanted to use these things to devour kingdoms and devour, people and nations, right, and take down top nations, he could make new beasts. He could make a new beast that could shoot things out of his eyes, right? Fire out his mouth, laser beams out his mouth. If he wanted to, he could have a beast able to shoot beams out his fingers, man, right? So, and Leviathan is the closest thing to this, description, because Leviathan, fire comes out of his mouth, right? So, let me get one more precept on Leviathan. We're gonna end it there. So this is the book of Psalms 104 and 24. Psalms 104 and verse 24. And it says, O Lord, how manifold are thy works! In wisdom hast thou made them all. The earth is full of thy riches, so is the great and wide sea, wherein all things creeping innumerable. So there's no man that can number the things that are in the sea. Esau might tell you, oh, there's 5,000 things in the seas. There's 10 million species in the seas. Well, the Most High said they're innumerable. So there's a lot of things out there in the seas that they have not discovered. And one of those things is Leviathan. They make folk tales about it because they read the scriptures, right? A lot of things that Esau comes up with, it comes out of the scriptures. Then they try to put their science on top of it to try to make sense, right? Both small and great beasts. There go ships. There is that Leviathan whom thou hast made to play therein, right? That's all I wanted. So he said in verse 25, so is this great and wide sea, Slaki. There 26. There go the ships. There is that Leviathan whom thou hast made to play therein. So ships come by. Say it's 5,000 ships, man. This is like this to Leviathan. This is like, playing his favorite sport, right? Destroy the ships, right? So we're gonna end it there, and that's the breakdown on Leviathan, man. So Leviathan is a real life creature, right? A real dragon, right? A real dragon of the Most High. So that being said, I'm gonna give all honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh, which the world calls God, and Yahweh Shai, which the world calls Jesus Christ. Shalom.